Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Thursday, September 12th, and time for the markets in the morning. Yeah, I think there was some news about XRP actually in the news about Grayscale XRP Trust or something. So that's going to be interesting. But what do you know? We can look at the weekly chart for XRP here. And with that XRP ETF, it's still just stuck under resistance. So who knows if this news but it did hold support. So I think that's why it's just going up. But the XRP news, who knows? Who knows if it'll last, but it's still stuck under all that resistance. So just going to keep an eye on that. That's all I wanted to bring up. Good morning, Fat Chin. Hi, Matt. Please look at Microsoft today if time allows. Yes. Let me just go over the QQ first after looking at that XRP news. So it'll still get stuck around 60 cents, 61 cents. So we'll keep an eye on that for the rest of the week. And QQQ. Good morning, Jules. QQQ is basically flat on the day. We'll see how it's going to look for the daily chart. And yeah, it's just getting back above the cloud. Retested support perfectly yesterday. And now it's probably going to open up near resistance again, right? So it's still under resistance. And it got through a lot of other resistance yesterday. So that's a good thing, but still has that 471 up top to try to get above the 50-day moving average. So we'll see what happens with that. But maybe not today, but possibly tomorrow could. So I don't know if I see a big continuation with the SPY today, but we'll see if it can close the week out strong tomorrow. Or sorry, this is the QQQ, not SPY. QQQ. Now the SPY, yes. SPY did break that resistance and the QQQ did not. So I think there is a possibility for the SPY to actually continue higher and the QQQ maybe not so much, right? So we're going to keep an eye on this one, see if it can get towards the upper levels there again, maybe the 560s, 562 for the SPY. And it's been kind of like a double top so far, right? So that could be a big challenge to break above the 560s, and that all-time high does hit at 565.16. So probably not this week, but we'll keep looking at it next week to see if it can. But as long as it stays over the daily resistance day after day after day and makes it support, then I think the possibility to break through that resistance becomes greater and greater. So just keep on closing daily candles above like that 551.82, and then it can probably go higher and higher. And IWM held that support yesterday perfectly. Pre-market, it's up 209.49. So it's still stuck under resistance though, right? Support is holding. This is the most important thing. That 100-day moving average has been a good magnet for price for a long time now. But ultimately, what I really want to see is a daily candle close back above this cloud here and make it a support. And that sits around 212.70. And I think it might not happen today, maybe tomorrow. Just depends on the momentum, really. But really want to see price close above there to continue higher. Otherwise, it's just going to get stuck. So 212.70, 212, maybe 88. The 50-day moving average right there would be even better. So yeah, just getting above that, closing above, then it can go higher. But until then, it's just going to be stuck in this range. I see. Yeah, I'll go check out those 10 veer, the ASML, QCOM, AVGO. And good morning, GA Mom. Thank you, and Kat, Steve, Danny, etc. Yes. Yeah, I'll do EOS too. So just looking at some other things here. Let's check out the SMH before I go on to Microsoft. And SMH is actually down a little bit, and you can see what really happened yesterday. It closed basically right at resistance on the daily chart for the SMH. So the good news is it's back above like some of the other indicators, like the the baseline and the conversion line, but could be just a challenge to break into the cloud. But today could be the day to do it. So going to keep an eye on that. And if that happens, then the probability to continue up to the 240s is there for the SMH. So we're just going to watch that 233 level, see if it can break above. And now I'll look at Microsoft. And Microsoft, yeah, had a great day yesterday, and that basically held support perfectly. You can see the wick down below. Below all that support, it grabbed all that liquidity, forced people to panic, maybe sell, and then forced price back up into the cloud. And now it's approaching that resistance as well. So a lot of things are looking that way, where on the daily charts, they need to close above resistance in order to continue going higher. And some things like the SPY are above that, but everything else is kind of below. And really, I want to see price get above the cloud. And that level kind of sits around 427 for Microsoft before any kind of continuation. Otherwise, it could be just stuck in that range. So those are the levels to look at. Yeah, we're going to check on Tesla too. And ASML. ASML. Let's look at the weekly chart with that one. Yeah, and back tested a weekly support level. Looks like that 746 was the target, and it looks still pretty good, except for it broke through the weekly cloud. So could get some resistance soon, maybe around the 810 level, probably some resistance. So gonna need to see a weekly close back in the cloud to really know that the bottom is in. Because if it gets rejected here, then it could just roll over. So really gonna need a weekly close above 810 just to see if that can really maintain the cloud. Otherwise, it has danger to roll over. And on the monthly chart, it did hold the baseline perfectly down there at 736. So I think that could be the low. But again, it could get retested, right? It could get retested. And if that retest fails, then it'll go to the 600s. But it all will start here on the weekly chart. Need to see that 810 or above close. Otherwise, it has the potential to roll over and even go to the 600. So we'll keep an eye on those levels. And even going back down there still would not be a big deal, because it still would be a really big higher low from these levels here. So high time frame still fine, just not sure if it's ready to continue higher yet until we get some confirmation. And QCOM, yeah, QCOM held its weekly support perfectly, right? But it's doing the same thing what a lot of charts are doing, that after it broke out from the cloud, it's coming back to retest support. So possibly could need more time to just drift over to the cloud, touch the cloud, and then go higher, right? So really, I can just see it sideways, maybe in between 181 and 161, this range, maybe up and down, up and down, up and down, until it finds this new higher low, until it goes. So there's really no catalyst, no rush, in my opinion, to jump into this one, because yeah, support held, that was the opportunity, but now it's just going back up. I think anytime it gets closer to resistance, it could get rejected to go back down and retest support zones. So just in a range, but still very bullish overall. Just needs more time, in my opinion, to consolidate in order to go higher. AVGO. AVGO is getting back above levels, so it's looking pretty good. But week is not over yet, so still 2 more trade days left. And 152.46 is the target to close above for that continuation. But nonetheless, it's still making lower highs all the time. And that's kind of like NVIDIA, really. And also, it never even came back down to test the 50, let alone the cloud. So since it broke out, it's never really back tested stuff. So I still think, even though it is above a lot of the indicators, it's still not making higher highs. And I think market structure is superior. So therefore, I will not change my tune unless there's a weekly candle back above this 172.42. And if it closes above, then that'll be an official higher high. then it can go higher. But until then, I still think that's the range, like 172 down to the cloud, the 122. So it's a big range in there. And I think what I would like to see is that maybe hold that 152, but then it might just drift sideways again or down and then touch the cloud and then go. Right. So a lot of things are doing that. Bitcoin did it. Solana did it. Right. And just waiting on, and even Coinbase did it. Right. So we're just waiting on more things to do it. I think this one is no exception as well. And yeah, EOS. So EOS, I think just this potential of getting to the 320s is there, right? But I'm not sure if it has much more than that in the shorter term, especially when you kind of like just draw a line from where these candles are here, like a previous resistance. It's going to go up to that resistance zones, which also coincides with the top of the cloud too. So it has the potential to get to the 290s, to the 320s and that zone, but could get rejected for some time once it gets there. So yes, I think it's good, but not really ready to explode towards this 200 moving average that's just forming up there. Not yet, right? It's gotta get flip that to a support for then possibly can go. And now it's time for Tesla. So yeah, Tesla's down a couple bucks pre-market. That's not really a surprise, is it? I mean, we'll look at the daily candle yesterday and we'll see what really is developing here. And again, it's looking like it's going back to test the 50-day moving average, right? We'll see where it opens today, but that 50-day still sits at 224.47. So that's still a possibility to go back and test it as a support. But again, I want to see more daily candles close above that 50-day. So that's going to be the target every day this week, really. And can it go intraday like it did yesterday down to test support? Of course. I mean, just grab that liquidity and maybe push it higher again. But always for the rest of this week, want it to close above 224.47, or it's going to be a little bit higher today after the market opens because it's a moving average. So it changes every day. So that's what I'm really looking at to see if it can hold that support. So nothing else really matters, just staying above the cloud and staying above the 50. That's what I'm looking at on a day-to-day basis for Tesla. And NVIDIA, yeah, NVIDIA to the moon, not yet, right? And don't think it's going to happen yet simply because, well, the 50 days in the way, that's at 117. Even above that is more resistance above. But what I'm really looking at is the weekly cloud, same situation as Broadcom, really, how it's just making lower highs, right? It's making lower highs and it never even touched the 50 and never touched the cloud. So I think it might come back up towards the upper 120s, then maybe come back down, then up, then down, right? I think it'll just be a big volatile range until it maybe tests the long high time frame support. And that could be in December, or that could be lower in the 70s or 80s, but I don't think it's going to go that low. I don't think the market makers will let it go that low. So what I really think is going to happen is just up, down, up, down, up, down until a few more months, right? Maybe November, maybe December, and then possibly can go higher from there. But again, I'm not going to change this opinion until there's a weekly higher high close of maybe 131.26, right? Once there's a weekly candle close above that, then I'll be like, okay, it made a higher high and now it's ready to go up, right? So one of two things has to happen: make a higher high or go back and touch the cloud, right? That's it. Good morning. How's SoFi and Hood looking? Yeah, so SoFi right here. And SoFi is just in a range, a big weekly range, right? 706 held as support, did wick through, and now it's going towards resistance, and that resistance is kind of like 751. Price is 731 right now pre-market. So same, just stuck in a range on the weekly chart. Day-to-day basis, it looks like it can continue up to that because it looks like it held support perfectly here. So I think there is some momentum to the 750s. So we'll keep an eye on that. But this is basically going to be resistance. And it tried to break through before a few times and it failed. So it really needs to start to build that base on top of the 750s in order to break up past the 8s. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. But I think it might be resistance again once price gets there. And I think Hood is actually doing pretty well. Yeah, it's actually looking to open above all of its daily resistance. That's looking really good, right? So it's going to open up here, daily candle. That means it could be support for 2063, 2032. So I can see a continuation up at least towards these candles here, and then that's 2150. Kind of want to make a higher high from there, and then it does, then that'll be a clear continuation to like the 2450 zone up here with these previous candles. So yeah, it's looking better and better day after day, and it got through all of this resistance, all of it, and that is fantastic to see. So we'll see if it can continue, right? Just staying above that 50 is going to be key, in my opinion, and that's currently right there around 2064. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on Hood. ASTS. An insider buy yesterday. Doesn't look like it matters. So yeah, daily chart said it all. I mean, back here in May, it just took off. And like this is how important like the Ichimoku clouds are, right? When you see kind of in a candle like this that just closes a day or a week or anything above all resistance, which it was right there, then it just probably wants to keep going. And that was the clue. And now it is approaching the cloud on a daily chart, not even a weekly chart, right? So the daily chart looks like it still has more consolidation to go. And even it's down a little bit pre-market. So it looks like ASTS wants to go lower or sideways still. So probably the target could be the 50 down here, maybe 2165, or it could just go sideways until it touches the cloud and then do something there. So still no rush to buy this one. It's still stuck under resistance, and I think the momentum is still sideways to down. Good morning, Tony. Brr, money printer go brr. Yeah. CMG. Chipotle. Yeah, daily chart's looking better and better. Look at that. It got blocked last week by a lot of resistance. This week got back into the cloud and even above all the resistance there. So it kind of has free reign to maybe go back up to the 58s on the daily chart. And even on the weekly chart, the resistance is 58. So it looks like it could be good to go within the cloud, right? Looks pretty good. 58 could be the shorter term target for CMG. Let's see. Bit Digital. Yeah, BTBT. Yeah, not one of my favorites. This one's not. Daily chart still pretty weak. Weekly chart still pretty weak, stuck under the 50. High time frames, market structure though, it still is making higher lows, right? And that's good, but still has a lot of resistance stuck above. And I can't really get it can't get any momentum until it starts closing above that 50 on a week to week basis. So 277 is the target. Got to close above that $2.77. And Bitfarms, yeah, Bitfarms kind of similar right there, but I do still like the market structure with the higher lows here, but it's still just stuck in between a range. And on the daily chart here, it still even can't get above any of this resistance at all. So really going to be watching that $2 level, see if it can start to break. But yeah, they need to start clearing levels first before any kind of momentum can continue. I already did EOS, so you can go back and watch that. And hymns, yeah, I can do hymns. So yeah, daily support held perfectly over the past couple of days. Now it's getting back above the support. And next is the 1563 to get above on a weekly basis. Really, it's free to go back up, but the only thing holding it back is the daily resistance right there at 1563. So once it starts closing candles above that, then I think it's possible to go back to these candles up here, like the $17 range. So it's one step at a time. As long as the support holds, it is free to build strength to go. And DKNG. Yeah, DKNG, I actually did an update yesterday on it in my Patreon just because it is looking better and better, right? It's looking better how it wants to go towards the 200-day moving average 3906, but it's finally back above the cloud, finally looking like it wants to flip things to a support up there on the daily chart. And even the weekly chart is breaking levels too, going towards the upper resistance of the baseline there. So, and it stayed in the cloud. This is a great thing to see that it did break below, but then immediately recovered. And now it's back going towards the upper resistance. So the chance to really get excited about it was when it did this bullish engulfing right here on August the 12th, because then it closed above back in the cloud and the 200-week moving average. That was a sign that it really wanted to go higher. And sure enough, that's what it did. So now it's getting really close to all the resistance above. Like, not only is it the baseline and the top of the cloud, but you also got previous candles in that zone. And also when you draw kind of a line like right here, it's like a, oh, sorry, wrong one. It's kind of like a previous support flip to resistance. So you have all this combination of resistance up above. So the time to like it was when it had a big move above all that resistance, making it support again. But now that it's kind of flipping it, or not flipping it, it's still stuck under that resistance, then we got to be a little bit cautious, or I do at least. And let's see, PayPal. Yeah, PayPal looks good still, right? But it's still stuck. No matter which way you want to slice it, right? Still, that's your resistance really right here. All right, previous support right here, flip to resistance, still resistance. So it's stuck in a range. No matter, it's above the cloud and it's above all the support there, but you got new resistance right above, right? And that's why you saw rejection, rejection, rejection. So it's in the middle of a range, and I like it more closer to support, right? That's what I do. I like it there. So if it goes and breaks resistance and flips it, then I'll like it. Or if it goes back and tests support, then I'll like it too. But in the middle of a weekly range, not so much. But on the daily chart, it's also in a range too. So that's more confirmation maybe that it just wants to go sideways before it wants to continue higher. So it's a no for me now. The time to like it was when it kind of broke out, back tested all that support, and then got back above the cloud and then took off, right? That was the time to get excited. Now is the time to just be patient and let price come to you and not chase anything. And JPM, what time is it? 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. Big down day yesterday or 2 days ago, right? But all it did is test support, and it did that again yesterday. So that is good for a day-to-day basis, right? And 100 SMA sits at 203.92, but still no momentum. It's just a loss of momentum, and it was confirmed by that bearish engulfing candle right there, which was down a big 5% day for JPM on a week-to-week basis. It is holding support, but again, just like a lot of other things, it looks like it might be losing momentum here and maybe just wants to go sideways for a while until it touches the cloud somewhere, or maybe comes down fast. So we'll keep an eye on that. But daily chart is really telling a story that it's not ready to break out, especially with that bearish engulfing. So I see it as kind of stuck in a range. and retesting support many times until it's ready to finally build a base. And possibly, if that support is broken, it could even go a little bit lower. So we're going to really have to pay attention to price here to see if that support can hold, but is saying loss of momentum because of that bearish engulfing. Yeah, in phase, I talked about this the other day. I'll just pull it up on my linear scale chart here because it was a perfect back test of support and don't even need the indicator there. And I was telling people all the time about this. Like, if it went back to 100, that's your opportunity. And it went there again, right? It went to 148, and people were probably panicking again. But no, that is the opportunity because that blue angle is support. Support, 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 support. You cannot be scared of that. And now it's been on top of the arc again, but it did lose the cloud a little bit. So we're going to be paying attention to the cloud and see if it can close this week tomorrow back inside. And that will be maybe around 111.40 or 112, or even better yet, above the 113.43 would be good. But the chart is still not making higher highs, but it's holding support so well. So this is why I like it. And I think just a matter of time before it breaks higher into the cloud and then makes these higher highs. So I like it more and more, regardless of it not making higher highs. And yeah, we'll look at ROKU. ROKU, wow, look at that. Bam, hit resistance perfectly, right? But look at that. Pre-market up, right? It's interesting how that works. It maxed out yesterday, just got to the resistance level, waited for some interesting news, and then bam, shot up, right? So that is a great breakout. Great breakout. Weekly chart, even up here, it's going to be basically finishing the week maybe above all of this resistance and now support. I had a big move week after week after week, and now it's going to be approaching resistance on a week-to-week basis around $80. So it has maybe $5 more to go possibly before any kind of major rejection. But as long as it stays in this zone, it's going to eventually get into the cloud and then possibly go higher. And maybe even that $70 50-week moving average will be its support now. So great developments for ROKU. It's even better developments to show that growth stocks are actually making moves, which kind of proves that growth stocks could be near a bottom, which will also be good for ARKK. And that means things will be bright for the future, and maybe less people will hate Cathie Wood because finally growth stocks will be performing better and better and better. And CLSK, yes, CLA. At 20 seconds left for the market open, so let's just do this real quickly. CLSK, yeah, support held perfectly, 812. Resistance now on the weekly chart, 1088. Daily chart still cannot get above any kind of daily resistance yet. So it's kind of like the theme of a lot of the miners now. They are stuck and need to see some daily breaking of resistance before they're really going to gain some momentum. So it could happen this or today, could happen tomorrow, but I think it's going to happen. And when it does, there'll be a big move up to the 13s again for CLSK and a big move for others too. But they got to break their daily resistance first. And then once that happens, things will go. And let's look at Tesla pre-market here. Where did it open the candle? It opened at 224.66, and the 50-day moving average is 224.33. So yeah, it's kind of like it's doing what it did yesterday, right? Because yesterday opened up above that as well, went down, and now it opened up above too. So we'll see. We'll see if it does the same thing as yesterday. But as long as I think the day closes above it, it could be fine. So we're just going to watch that 224.32 level for Tesla. Oh, you want to check out Mara too? Yeah, so Mara, This one actually started the day above, right? Started the day above the conversion line, which is a good thing, right? So now it just has to break the $16 level and then it can fly. But until then, it's still stuck, right? And I think iron might be something similar. Yeah, something similar. Support held of the 200-day moving average, but still getting rejected by its daily resistance. So nothing can explode higher until it breaks at least 775 and goes higher, right? So no problem for CLSK. Yeah, so that's just the levels, and that's just what all the miners are doing. They're stuck under their daily resistance, so that means they can't really explode higher. Maybe Wolf is different. Yeah, Wolf is above all of it. This is why it only has a little bit of resistance left right there at 450 before it's ready to go higher. That's why I like Wolf a lot, right? Wolf and also Core Z. Core Z is maintaining that 50-day, and it might be ready to break my 1060 resistance up there. So we'll see. Like those two are really good because they are above their daily resistance. They are not below. But the rest of the miners, they are below. So we just have to have patience with that and see what they can do. Oh, look, Tesla is only down 138 now. Yeah. And Palantir down 17 cents, SMCI. Yeah. So it's just looking at the charts today, it's kind of a relatively flat day. And I think what we're looking at is maybe not much excitement, right? We had the excitement yesterday, so maybe things will be a little bit boring today, but we'll see. And all that matters is continuation of holding support for Tesla, continuation of holding support for NVIDIA, continuation of holding support for everything, and for the miners just breaking that resistance on the daily chart. So we'll watch those levels, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the week